Hi, I'm Lawrence.
I'm Nick.
Welcome to the Nick and Lawrence Show. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning.
All right, so
Okay.
I am going to let Lawrence explain what we just did because I'm not as well versed in that as he is. So, what was that about, Lawrence?
So that was the intro during the mid 70s to early 80s from a topic that I thought we could talk about of Captain Kangaroo.
Okay.
So it's for most of the younger generation. This is something going back 60 years, but when Nick and I were kids, it was a very popular show, kind of at the tail end of its run. It ran for 29 years on CBS, and it ran another 7 years up until 1983 on selected PBS stations. Unfortunately, our PBS station never carried it, but like when we talked about Blockbuster and everything else, you could get VHS tapes. There was at least a couple of children's books throughout the years. There was one or two records. But I thought, lately there have been people talking about Fred Rogers and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Sesame Street, and those things are still getting talked about, but there's very little known about the Captain. And
yeah, I know that I watched it when I was younger. I don't really remember any about it though.
Switching gears from the Captain to Mr. Moose.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a little fun with this. And,
okay, let's do it.
And the reason I'm wearing the green plaid jacket is in a reference to the character Mr. Green Jeans. Okay. But there was several characters we should go over. We had Captain Kangaroo as the host. We had Bunny Rabbit, Mr. Moose, and Mr. Green Jeans were the main characters. And so, but I brought some relics from the past. Like I said, it started October 3rd, 1955. It was the same year as the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, wow.
Now, we talked about the Mickey Mouse Club before, and the Mickey Mouse Club always was on ABC at 5 p.m. So on CBS, you go earlier in the day before you went to school, you would watch Captain Kangaroo. So you'd see Captain Kangaroo in the morning on CBS, and then when you got home, depending on which channel was for those two networks, you'd come home at 5 and turn on the Mickey Mouse Club.
Right, yeah. Oh, that's fun. I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah. So, but it ran for 29 years on CBS, and like I said before, it kind of switched over to CBS just to, finish off. But I think in all total, even though Wikipedia says 29 years, I really did a little bit of the math, and it was more like 37 years when you added in the episodes on PBS. They did some new intros and endings for the PBS version, and then did some of the stuff for the show. So it started out as an hour-long show for a number of years, and I think as it got into like 1984, 1 year after I was born, it became, it became a half-hour show, and then they switched that over to select PBS stations from 84 to about 1993.
Got it. So
by the time I was 10, Captain Kangaroo was just, not popular anymore, and Sesame Street was so popular. Mr. Rogers was popular. Reading Rainbow was now becoming a popular show. Shining Time Station, things like that. But I brought some videos and a record. I'm hoping, I did look on Amazon, and I thought there was a really cool book that actually still exists, and there's like several copies on Amazon of this book that I saw this picture of the original Captain Kangaroo from 1958 on a golden book.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking maybe I'll add that to my collection so I can have the tapes and the record and stuff. But yeah, so
that's a good idea.
These two tapes, one of them we showed in our Blockbuster video because of the Blockbuster sticker. But so we have Captain Kangaroo, Let's Go to the Zoo. And this is the one. No, this.
No, I think it's the other one.
It's the other one. But this is one about the zoo. They go to all different zoos and stuff. And
fun.
But this is the one that, I was going to get another one. I think it was going to be like adventure stories, but they ended up selling me this. They didn't realize, and I was like, you know what? It's Captain Kangaroo. I'm just looking for whatever I can find, even if the disclaimer was wrong. And they do have another one called Adventure Stories, but this one I like the best because this gives you an idea of what Captain Kangaroo was like, and gives you different stories, gives you a large cast and everything. And
got it.
On the back, you can see here, you have one picture with the Captain and Mr. Moose in that picture, and then over here is Mr. Green Jeans on the the back. Now, on the front of this, and this is why I like it, is because the whole cast is there on the front. And there's one guy right here, and I don't think this will probably come up in the picture, but this guy on the let's see, this is my left or right. But the guy on this side of the box, the African American guy, his name is Kevin Clash, and people may not. Well, you might know the name. The name may be very familiar if you're a Sesame Street fan, because he was for a lot of years, from '84 until about 2012 or so, was the voice of Hoots the Owl and Elmo and several Muppeteers. But he had a long run on Captain Kangaroo as being a actor on the show and being a puppeteer behind the scenes of some of the famous characters.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, it was a really fun show.
This is a Blockbuster one.
This is a Blockbuster like we talked about.
I'll show you the Blockbuster sticker. We covered that in our video that we did about Blockbuster.
Yeah, and then this is Captain Kangaroo Just Tells Those Stories, which was a record they had here. So I got this as a Christmas present, and so I've played it a few times, and so yeah, I've really liked. Really liked Captain Kangaroo, and he's been on a couple of the back-to-back years. 1970 and 71 he was on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I guess in the later years Fred Rogers was on Captain Kangaroo. But there's been so many fun celebrities through the years. I found a couple of YouTube videos with characters. I guess Phil Donahue was on one time on the Captain's show, and Dolly Parton was on another time. So those are some YouTube video, or people have taken and put the actual shows on. There was one I was watching today, and I noticed the copyrights of some Disney songs that were done in a 1961 Captain Kangaroo in black and white. And what had happened, the storyline goes that the captain is cleaning up the treasure house. He needs somebody. They used to do back when they first started. They would do Monday through Friday, 8 in the morning, and I think depending on your station back then, you would have gone and watched Captain Kangaroo on Saturday mornings, like Saturday morning cartoons, and they ran it through without commercials. I think maybe 1 or 2 minutes of commercials or something. I think. Okay. If you had commercials, but I think that CBS at that time didn't do commercials, and so there was one that I found that didn't have a commercial in it. But the whole storyline, to go back to this particular episode I saw on YouTube, was that the captain is going to clean up the treasure house, and he puts a help wanted sign outside the treasure house, and these kind of Three Stooges kind of characters, they're not really the Three Stooges, come by, and he's like thinking, well, I need to have somebody help me with the treasure house, but at the same time he's got a so he before those people come, one of the songs is Hi Ho from Snow and the Seven Dwarfs Disney movie, so that plays first, and then later on he's going to try to get one of the people who's just wrecking the treasure house, was making a mess and everything else, and the Cinderella song where it's like Cinderella, Cinderella, da da da. And so, but that was kind of fun. I was like, oh, there's 2 original, and you can tell, like you can hear the pops and the scratches from the records. That they have it off camera, and so you can hear the records in the background.
Oh, that's fun, yeah. And
so you're hearing these 2 classic Disney songs, but I saw it on YouTube because YouTube has little licensing, so when you put music and stuff into it, that they somehow through the notice of the records could tell that those were Disney songs, or they claimed that it was Disney songs. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so
nice little connection.
Yeah, so I just thought it was kind of cool because, like I said, Mickey Mouse Club and Captain Kangaroo are both celebrating their 64th, almost 65th anniversary. A year from now, it'll be their 65th, a big milestone for both of those shows.
As Disneyland as well.
Yeah, and Disneyland too.
Yeah, yep. 65 years next
65 years. So
we gotta go.
In a way that to tie in Captain Kangaroo, he goes in there with those other things that happen to be 65 Disney related.
Yeah.
I guess this is a Mr. Pickwick, so I don't think, but I wouldn't be surprised if if they made other records, and because I've seen like the Disney record thing out there, and so I'm not surprised that Disneyland had their part in helping even though they were on ABC for a long time and still are to this day.
Yeah.
You know, it's surprising to have a competing network actually, do some of the records that are out there that are, 60 to 40 years old. Because there was a brand called the Disneyland record thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch some of those YouTube videos because I don't remember anything about the show.
See, I kind of, and like I said, on these VHSs, I definitely would have gone to any video store and I would have picked it up. I mean, Captain Kangaroo was not in our area, but thankfully, because I went to grandparents' house and I had one time that I was living in Colorado for a little bit of time, that's where I learned about Captain Kangaroo.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Thanks to grandparents living in Arizona and, being in Colorado, I learned about things that my parents grew up with when it was a popular show on the network, on CBS, not PBS, but being on CBS for a long time. And my understanding that it is as of today, there hasn't been since that I know of, Captain Kangaroo is still today the longest running network, not cable, kids TV show out there. Okay. And Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Sesame Street are on PBS, but those don't count. So CBS being commercial and everything else, it was the longest, like I said, 29 years of being on a cable. And I think they, like I said, it's the one show that, lasted 29 years and it still hasn't, I don't think there's anything that's surpassed.
I don't think there ever will be.
Price is Right is a game show, but that's for the longest running game show, I think we have Price is Right, Jeopardy, and Wheel of Fortune are game shows that are the longest running game shows. And you have your soap operas as well, but
sure, but not kids.
But you could almost say, okay, here's the longest running, things. Johnny Carson we've talked about was on in '62, and he went for 30 years or 29 years, kind of the way. I guess that's the thing. When I look for shows and stuff, I looked and said, okay, did anything compare to this in long running for television on a commercial television? So so that's
it's a fun fact.
It's fun to think about the different things that are out there that have been around for a long time. But yeah, like I said, Captain Kangaroo is something that I watched as a kid going to grandparents' house, and then I would rent these videos from the store. My favorite character of all the characters I mentioned is Mr. Moose.
Yeah. Now,
Mr. Moose, to give a little history on Mr. Moose, Mr. Moose always had jokes and riddles for the captain.
Okay.
And he tended to like to use ping pong balls in his jokes. And they would all come from the sky. And so he would go and say, knock, knock. And then the captain would say, who's there? And he'd say, accordion. And he'd say, accordion who? According to my calculations, the ping pong balls will fall now. Yeah. And the captain would not hear the punchline, get too busy about thinking what the riddle is, trying to figure out the riddle. Then all of a sudden the ping pong balls would fall out of the sky and land on the captain. And so, but sometimes he'd go and be like, well, I have a joke for you or something, and he'd throw whatever ping pong balls landed, he'd throw them back on Mr. Moose and say, are you satisfied? And then, but the problem is that Mr. Moose was never satisfied, because there would be something like he'd say, well, you know what that reminds me of? Niagara Falls. And so jokes like that, but it would always be something that would relate to ping pong balls and stuff, and so that was my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the bunny rabbit, Mr. Rabbit, they would call him, would always, whenever the captain had carrots for lunch or something, Mr. Rabbit would always steal the captain's carrots and play pranks the way Mr. Moose did.
Okay, that's not like a fun show.
And then there's in later years when Bill Cosby became successful, he would be on, in the 80s, he was doing a thing called Picture Page, where they were doing like, it was kind of like a match game, like you draw like, here's the cow and where does the cow live, kind of thing. So you draw the line and it'd go down to the barns. And once that, you remember those things, those little matchup games that you would do as a kid. So that was another thing that was always fun. And the song was like, the song was so catchy. It was like, picture page, time for Bill Cosby to give another picture page. So he was part of the show in the early 80s, and then they used him for reruns from 84 to 93. So it was always a little on the confusing side to be like, you'd watch Captain Kangaroo in the morning before school, and if your family watched it, you'd watch the Cosby Show later, and you'd wonder, how did he get from the treasure house back to being Dr. Huxtable?
Yeah, the magic of TV.
Magic of TV, all those different people that you'd see on one show and they'd be on another.
I know. It's a mystery. Well,
yep.
I think
we've covered
stuff.
a lot of history and fun stuff.
A lot of things that probably most of you didn't know. But yeah, I think if you are a Captain Kangaroo fan, let us know if there's anything else that you remember from the show in the comments. Let us know, what you liked about the show. Just give us some of your memories about it, or maybe try to stump us, try to stump Lawrence. If you remember some things that we didn't talk about, let us know. And if you want us to cover more stuff like this, so let us know in the comments also for that. And just give us some ideas, and we'll try to make a video on it. Something nostalgic from from our childhood, or from
before, or
like it could be anything in the past that we watched on reruns, or pop culture, like we did videos on Blockbuster and Back to the Future movies, stuff like that. So just let us know, and I think that's all for now. Was there a Captain Kangaroo goodbye?
There really wasn't. I know that as he wrapped up, he would always remind the kids to in the early years when things were more sociable, to say, he would always remind the children to remember their prayers.
Okay.
That was how he wrapped up for so many years, and then as time went on, things kind of changed due to how television just was going by the time that the show ended. But I guess we'll just say our farewells, and I'm Lawrence.
I'm Nick.
And we'll see you next time.
All right. Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos.
And ring the bell and look for us on Instagram and all the other fun social media. Remember to say a nice comment.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.